Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webcast. My name is Mike Otranto, and I'm the Strategic Account Specialist and Lead Account Liaison at Wicresoft. I'm also joined on today's webcast with Jim Patterson, who leads in a business development role, and Matt Wiley, a product guru and technology expert. Today, we're going to focus on project financial management, designed to help you get your projects running with deep insights into their financial health. After the webinar, you will receive an email from me with a copy of the recording and the slide deck so you can review later on. The line will not be open for questions, but you can type in your questions via the chat feature on the window to your on the right-hand side of the screen. So if you want to know more about Wicresoft and who we are today, we're actually a Microsoft joint venture that was founded in 2002. We provide consulting, business process outsourcing, managed services, and global support for staffing. We are a triple gold certified Microsoft partner. Less than 1% of partners ever have that designation. And we are also certified in project portfolio management, collaboration and content, and cloud productivity. So we have a lot of experience helping organizations maximize their efficiency and technological advantage. We have a footprint all over North America and internationally. We really focus on Microsoft technologies and integrate with a wide variety of other platforms and technologies. From a project and portfolio management standpoint, we have a deep expertise in Project Online and Project Server. That being said, I will now hand off the webcast to Jim Patterson. Jim?
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate the introduction. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for coming to our webcast today. My name is Jim Patterson. I'm going to do the presentation portion of this, and we're going to get into the subject matter of project financial management and Project Online. As part of the agenda, we're going to cover some concepts on project financial management, move into an overview of Microsoft Project Online and how it supports that, and then talk about how Wicresoft's Project Financial Planner will extend those capabilities for Project Online to provide even more in-depth financial management capabilities. Matthew Willie will come on and do a demonstration and show you this stuff live and in action. And then we'll wrap up with a summary and some next steps that you can do to kind of look into this further if you like. So let's talk a little bit about project financial management as a concept. In the world of project and portfolio management, or PPM, financial and cost management is an integral piece of the entire process, really throughout all aspects of it. Cost and budget is something that's really integral to the success criteria of a project. And this goes through all phases of that life cycle. If we look at pipeline management, when we're looking at requests and ideas for projects that are coming through and being evaluated, we have to do some initial estimating, request investment from the organization, and really dollarize that in a way that makes us understand what it will cost us to do these projects from our early estimation, as well as even estimating the benefits that we anticipate to get if we embark upon that project. So from a pipeline management perspective, even early on, we're looking at the cost aspects in a lot of cases. On the resource management side of things, this really does impact financial resources as well. The idea that labor resources have costs associated with them, whether they're internal or external resources. Resources that we may need as far as equipment and other procured items are things that will impact our total cost for these projects and part of the cost constraint that we need to manage to when we're actually given the authority to work on these projects. So all these financial resources have a cost impact into our project management process. Even the change control process, when we capture a request for changes as things do happen over the life of a project, there is a cost impact to those. And we generally have to capture and estimate what we think the cost and financial impact will be to the project, and oftentimes the benefit that we're going to achieve by actually implementing that change. In general financial management in PPM, we do work with finance, and we can improve our accuracies in providing and interacting with them and really establishing the value of the project and establishing the budgets for those projects, putting the financial controls in place to make sure that we're actually tracking and working within those budgets, and then putting in methods like plan versus actual and variance techniques, or even full-blown earned value techniques and other project financial techniques to keep the projects on track and make sure we have good controls over that during the life cycle of the project so we can have a chance to bring it in under budget. Even on the risk management side of things, there's a cost dimension of that. When we identify risks that we track, we're generally looking at the probability of that risk, what the financial impact should that risk hit us and become a true issue that we need to deal with. There's a cost component to that as well. All in all, cost is really a dimension that affects all aspects of our project and portfolio management efforts. So how are we defining project financial and cost management? Well, it's definitely core, and in PMI's project management body of knowledge, or PMBOK, it is definitely one of the 10 knowledge areas that are outlined in that Bible for project management. And in project financial management here, it's intended to deliver planning cost management, meaning the cost estimation and all the things we do upfront to plan and estimate what it's going to take to do these projects from a cost perspective. Also from an estimating basis, as we look at the initial plans and we start digging deeper and diving into the requirements and seeing what it's really going to take from a subject matter expertise basis of what it's going to take to do that, and really detailing those out till we get our best estimate as far as what we know at that time it's going to take to deliver. Ultimately, after we go through that process, we're going to determine a budget, meaning we're going to commit to a budget for that project, and that would be the guidepost that we are going to manage to so that we can determine whether or not we actually come in as planned on that project successfully. And then ultimately, through the entire life cycle of executing that project, we're controlling costs. We're incurring costs, and we're tracking as to whether or not we're incurring costs at a greater or slower rate than we anticipated, and whether that means good news or bad news as far as are we on track to finish where we thought we would with the projects. So the financial management process is really the project of managing costs in a project in really these three major areas. Cost estimation is really where the project manager works with the financial department to estimate costs required to deliver all the necessary goods and services that are going to be involved in the project, and undertaking the necessary activities to deliver the project and what those costs would be. Then we, as we said earlier on, make a budget determination. And at this point, the budget is established and the project manager works in collaboration with the financial department to determine the items that will be in this budget, sources of funding, and then allocate those budgets, and then work in close cooperation with the project sponsor to come to agreement that this is the goal or the target that we're going to work towards. And then the spending control is really the step of managing the cost process. And when the allocated budget is reviewed and spending is tracked against that budget, and looking for variances to see where we need to make adjustments to kind of keep the project on track from this cost dimension. The project manager generally takes responsibility to control the spending, ensure that the budget allocated is optimized and that the costs are fully covered and accounted for within the project process. So there's a number of different analyst organizations that have done studies over the years. And the reality is that project management can always use improvement. And the reality of it is there's a significant number of failed projects, challenged or failed projects, projects with schedule overruns, and then projects definitely with cost overruns. If you look at an average of 43% cost overruns on projects, that's a fairly significant number. By putting in a fully functional project and portfolio management, or PPM solution, analysts say that great strides can be made as we mature in that process to achieve much greater results. And the budget savings, as opposed to the 43% cost run, but to look at actual budget savings that can be actually had by implementing PPM is a big swing from cost overrun to actually savings. So there is a financial value to embarking upon better cost controls and cost management in the project management process. So let's look at Microsoft Project Online as a solution. Microsoft's project and portfolio management solution that we're going to talk about today is Project Online. And it really has end-to-end capabilities across all of these areas, whether it be portfolio management, and that's really some of that top-down planning on demand and intake, maybe supporting multiple portfolios, doing portfolio analysis and selection of projects that we're going to work on, and then all the way through executing those projects once we choose to do them, from a scheduling perspective, from an issue and risk management, from resource management, whether it be high-level capacity planning or detailed tactical resource allocation, and then all the project collaboration and communication that has to happen so that teams can work effectively to get to the end line on a successful manner. The idea is all these capabilities are native and on board within Project Online. So if we think about Project Online, it is really an end-to-end solution that provides all these different dimensions of project and portfolio management, including, as highlighted here, the financial management piece of that. Now, typically, when we're looking at project execution, oftentimes, those of us that have used Microsoft Project in the past, and this really provides a server or online way to use that tool as well, it's often a bottoms-up exercise that allows us to assign costs and resources to tasks within projects and roll those up to get a rolled-up view from the bottom and the most detailed levels of what those costs might look like, and then can track actuals on that, whether it be through timesheets and other things like you might do to capture actuals on that. And it does this, in the Microsoft cloud, meaning you don't have to manage any infrastructure. And then also for folks and more that are using Office 365 in their organizations in the Microsoft cloud, Project Online really actually becomes just another service or tool within the Office 365 experience, meaning it's fully integrated into the use of other tools that you might have in the Office 365 world. So Project Online really does offer some financial management capabilities, and for some folks, it can do the entire job. But for folks that want to do a little bit more detailed and more flexible and maybe more delineated type of cost planning and tracking, this is where Wicresoft can come in and do some, provide some assistance. So this is where we'll talk about Project Financial Planner for Project Online. So Project Financial Planner for Project Online really extends the capabilities of Project Online and provides more of a top-down project financial management or planning capabilities. The idea is it allows you to streamline your budgeting, improve estimating, and track the performance of your investments across multiple programs and portfolios. And it can all be launched from within the ribbon within Project Online, meaning it's integral, where you select the project that's in your Project Online solution and then start detailing out some of the cost things that you might see here in the grid or the picture you're looking at to the right of your screen. For organizations that want to do things in a more mature and complete fashion, we can actually leverage the strength of both this top-down capability, where we're actually building budgets and cost categories from the project level, and then the bottoms-up view from how we're actually executing on the details of that project. We can actually use those together so that we can actually compare what we originally thought from a budgeting perspective and track those higher-level budgets and look at how we're actually executing on the ground and compare how we're doing those types of things so we can get the power of both of those levels of detail. Essentially, we can seamlessly extend Project Online to enable full financial management controls, such as detailed financial categorization, meaning whatever those cost categories are, internal labor, external labor, hardware, software, travel, training expense, other types of things, however you delineate that, including things like capital and expense delineation or other types of cost codes that you might want to put in place. That type of line item detail, as you see over here on the right in the picture, can be provided and modeled within the financial planner from Wicresoft. Also, it allows us to do some scenario modeling, financial roll-ups, financial analytics, and estimating across, and even, as you see from the color coding in there, some heat mapping that allows us to look at some very quick variance analysis as we go on through. The idea is it can provide the PMO with financial transparency, meaning these rolled up numbers can actually show up in our portfolios, but then we can drill in and go down to line item detail by these categories and do the more detailed analysis as we go on through. This gives us a great ability to link all types and all categories of investments to our projects, to maybe some product lines or any application portfolios, or however we delineate our portfolios of projects. And so if we have that visibility on a real-time basis, it helps our project managers execute better and resulting in higher returns and better business value. Because oftentimes if we rely on just the visibility we get from the financial system at month-end close, oftentimes we're looking at historical information with some pretty good time lag, meaning that it's just telling us where we already were rather than telling us where we currently are. So it gives us the ability to remain more current and near real time with the information. So Project Financial Planner for Project Online, the value-added capabilities that it adds are full integration with Microsoft Project Online, meaning it's seamless. You don't have to really do anything different than what you're doing in Project Online, and then really call up this capability for any particular project while you're in the Project Online experience. It allows you then to roll up and get financial visibility across multiple portfolios or all your projects. And it provides a financial planner with a very flexible cost category structure, as we talked about. Now, by cost categories, I mean line items like, internal, external labor, hardware, software, travel, etc. But also the concept of multiple cost types, meaning you have maybe budgets, maybe you have approved budgets, maybe you then have actuals that come in, whether it be for labor or procured costs that come in from your financial or procurement system. Then there may be revised forecasts that we're looking at based as the estimates change as we experience during the life cycle of the project changes that occur. And then maybe even tracking financial benefits so that we can look and see what benefits we're retrieving, whether it be from a revenue or a cost savings perspective, and look at that as a way to track financial benefit to the organization. And also with the heat maps and ability to analyze some of the financials that are in here, and the ability to then do financial reporting as a natural output of the project management process, so that we don't have to build these things off to the side in spreadsheets or in PowerPoints or whatever we're doing off to the side. It would be fully integrated into the project management system, the portfolio management system, and to the overall project management process. So if you think about this, the detailed data that we work on in the project financial planner, as Matthew will show you here shortly, in this financial management dimension, is readily reportable from a time phase basis, from a total perspective, or even slicing based upon different cost categories. And the idea here is that this all becomes a natural output of the process rather than us having to build these financial reports manually or semi-manually like many people are doing today. From an analytics and integrations perspective, Wicresoft also provides as part of this offering a bunch of pre-built reports that actually gives you a lot of great financial insights into your projects, whether they be trend analysis, whether it be the delineation between planned and actual costs and benefits, and looking at how our variances are doing and how we're performing across all that. And even more traditional tabular reports where we want to get rolled up views of portfolio cost status or even detailed time-phased project costs across the individual projects so that we can keep our finger on the pulse of how we're spending against these projects. All this becomes a natural output in this combined solution. And then ultimately, this may not be a first stage, but ultimately to make this even more seamless and more automated is Wicresoft's Project Connect provides for integration with financial systems. Our Project Connect actually is a Microsoft cloud-based solution that will connect Project Online with a variety of different solutions and technologies that are out there. But one that's frequently asked for is the integration with the financial system. And what I mean by the integration with the financial system is could be a number of different things. You might be doing timesheets in Project Online, which is very common. But then that time might need to be passed over to the financial system in order to be dollarized and categorized and put into their proper accounts. Or, for example, you may have procured costs that aren't really tracked, or the system of record isn't in the project and portfolio management system. Things like purchase orders and invoices on things that are procured, and we have to capture those costs as well. And this integration can actually have those things come into the actuals in the project financial planner and give you a more realistic and real-time view of all costs when such an integration is placed. There's a variety of different variations of the theme in these use cases, but just wanted you to be aware that this we have a productized set of connectors that actually allow you to get this done in a relatively easy fashion. So with that, I think it's enough of the concepts, and it's time to let Matthew get on with the demonstration. So Matthew, why don't you take it away?
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jim. Switch my screen over here. All right, so I'm logged into Project Online. Project Online is just one of the many apps that are within Office 365, so it's accessible right here through the waffle. Once I'm logged into Project Online, what I'm looking at here is a list of all of my different projects, and I'm in a more cost-focused view, so I can see all these different projects grouped by portfolio, and I can see cost, health, and my budgets versus my actuals and variances and those types of things, as well as I can see a high-level overview of those particular projects and where they lay out in my Gantt and so on and so forth, right? So this is kind of a high-level view of all of your different projects. That one place to go to get some basic details. Now we can start diving in and see where this all comes from and how this all works. So there are multiple ways to go and build out a budget to start with for your particular project. Traditionally, as Jim mentioned, you would use a Microsoft project schedule, and you come in and build out your project schedule either from a template or from scratch, and you would assign your different resources, which could be labor resources or material resources or cost resources, etc. And there would be a cost of each of those resources per hour or per quantity or per use, you know, those types of things. And that all rolls up and gives you a cost. But this is a very bottoms-up way of building out your estimated costs, and it requires a lot of effort to go in and build out this project schedule and to talk to a lot of people and so on and so forth. It's a very detailed bottoms-up way to do it. What if we want to do more of a top-down, higher-level cost plan, but still be able to understand, where these costs are going to go to what different categories and such? That's really where our financial planner that Jim was talking about comes in. So if I come here and I select a project, like say my social networking integration project, I'm ready to go and build out my budget. All I have to do is come and hit my cost planner option here, and that will open it up for this particular project specifically. I've already went and filled in some data here in this one, but when you very first come in, it would start out blank. And if you want to update this, it's just like an online Excel spreadsheet is the best way to think about it. So if I wanted to add some capitalized labor in October, I just come type that in. I can go 15,000, something like that, and then continue on and work my way, building out this budget. So the costs here are broken out into what we call different cost categories, like equipment, software, labor, so on and so forth, travel, training, supplies, etc. But this is configurable. So if there are certain cost categories that you guys track your costs through, we would configure it to have the right categories here that make sense for you. We can also roll these costs up into different types or into different cost hierarchies. For example, here I'm looking at my capital expenses and my operational expenses. So I broke it up into CapEx and OpEx, and I can see the totals here, so on and so forth. So go here, get out of the spreadsheets, have something that's more consistent, one place to go to get access to all this, as well as we can generate some really robust reports that we'll see a little bit later that come from this information without having to manually do a lot of work and try to always have the latest version of the spreadsheet, and so on and so forth, right? Not only that, but later on, once this project, let's say, gets approved, I can start updating my forecasts. And so what I just did is I checked the little forecast box here. Now I'm looking at my budget and my forecast by month and totaled up by year and such for each of these different categories. And I can go, okay, originally my budget was $5,000, but really it's looking like it's going to be more like $10,000 in September. Some of my costs moved up or whatever it might be. So you can come in and you can update your forecasts right through here as well. If I just wanted to look at forecasts, I could do that and just focus in on that. And then eventually we can even start to get some actuals coming in here and start to see budget versus actual or actual versus forecast, and so on and so forth. These actuals can be manually typed in if you choose to do so. It's simple and easy to come in here and type that in. Or as Jim mentioned, we could actually integrate with wherever those totals were coming from, like your financial system, SAP, PeopleSoft, Oracle, etc. Bring those in automatically, so then the PM can get more real-time visibility, and everyone can get more real-time visibility into the spend comparatively to those forecasts and those budgets that I would have previously entered. So again, the goal is to make it real simple, quick, and easy. We can integrate with other financial systems if necessary and give that top-down, high-level view without going into the super detail of, we're spending $400 on this particular task. We don't necessarily need all that information and the overhead and time it takes to keep that all up to date. Something like this, more top-down, high-level, might be a better way to go. So that's one capability. What if we do want more detailed than this, though. We still don't want to go necessarily and build a full project schedule up front before, to get our budget, but maybe we do want some more detail around, where those software costs are coming from, so on and so forth. We have a solution here that allows you to create budget requests, as well as put in the business case information, so on and so forth. This is very similar to what we see in lots of organizations that people generally do in Excel and Word documents and so on and so forth. But we can put this into the system, so again, we can report off of it, we can generate alerts, and we can put workflow behind this, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot more robust than just having documents that you're passing around, signing off, and so on and so forth. And so I can come in and put in all the details around my particular project requests, including business cases and scope and all this information, as well as I can break those costs down into more details if I need to. Here are my hardware and software costs broken down into different line items, and you can see each of the different costs. And so I could either do this or the cost planner, or sometimes both. You might want that high-level view of the cost planner showing it broken out over time and the details behind that, in labor and travel and training and other and so on and so forth. And so these are all tools that we have available that if the requirements dictate so, if you're looking to do something similar to either one of these, then we can utilize these to help meet those requirements. So that's really mostly all, on the budgeting side of things. At a certain point, you may want to do some what-if analysis around those financials, around those budgets and costs, to figure out where should we be investing, where should we be, putting our dollars to get the most bang for our buck. And I won't go through this in detail today, but just know that Project Online has a full cost analysis tool that allows you to create multiple different scenarios and figure out where should we be putting our investments to get the most value. And what it's telling me here is if I have $4 million or 40 million or 400 million or whatever it might be, to get the most value, I should focus those dollars on these projects here. That's going to give me 66% of the value. I will get $8.2 million of benefits, so on and so forth. And there's ROI and NPV and all types of things you can pull into this if you choose to do so. But then I can go, well, what if I'm willing to invest more? I can have other what if scenarios, like what if I have $5 million? I'm increasing my budget by 25%. Well, now I can get up to 83% of the value. My benefits went up to almost $10 million. And there's even a cool compare feature in here that I like that's going to compare those two scenarios to each other and show me the differences between each. What do I get for each one, so on and so forth. If I spend 4 million, I get this. If I spend 5 million, I get this. And here you can see ROIs and strategic value and so on and so forth. Cool. So we can put in our budgets in one or more different ways, depending on what level of detail, what information we're looking for, and if we're looking to be more top down or bottoms up. Then we can do this analysis and go, okay, here are the projects we want to do. Here's where we want to spend our money. And then we're really going to start getting into the execution of the project, and we're going to start tracking those actuals like we talked about before, either just keying those in, or those could come out of a financial system, or maybe your labor costs, for example, come out of the timesheets here within Project Online. We won't get into all the details of where those actuals can come from. And I had a question earlier around billable, not billable, for example, as well. And we can do those types of things as needed as well. But the point is, as the project's going on, those different costs are all going to roll up, so we can see back to my portfolio view here. Here's each of my projects. Here was the budget. Here's the actual cost rolling up, the difference. And we can even roll that up to, say, the portfolio level, have multiple portfolios and see the totals of those. Or I could group this by program and see the different totals of that right here through the system. To take that to the next step, I may want to generate some more robust reports that allow me to drill into these costs and look at it and analyze it in lots of different ways. And so to do that, I'm going to go ahead and pop open here Power BI. Power BI, if you're not familiar with it, is also part of the Office 365 application sets. It's accessible through the waffle, as you just saw me get to it there. And through this, I can come in and I can generate lots of different reports. And we have a bunch of pre-built reports in our report pack that link directly up to Project Online and the cost planner, all of this information that we've been putting in here from a cost perspective, link directly up to that and pull that into reports that I can get a little bit more analytical with. So let's take a look at some of those. What I'm looking at here to start with on the first page of this report is it's showing me my budget versus my actual cost and versus even benefits here in this report, if you're tracking benefits or estimated benefits for projects. Then that's what it's showing me here. It's actually grouped out by portfolio, but we could group this by program or by department or group or division or however you might want. However you want to kind of break up those costs. But the cool part is I can then come and drill in. So I can click on one of these portfolios or programs or departments or whatever I'm grouping by, click into that, and then it will drill in and show me the actual detailed costs behind that, you know, all the individual projects and such behind that particular portfolio, and give me all the detailed costs for it. Down below, I can see things over time. So if I want to lay this over time, you know, see budgets versus actual costs over time, and if we're going over in any particular period, I can do that, so on and so forth. And there's lots of different ways we can look at this. For example, here I'm looking at it by portfolio. So I can see for each portfolio, here are my different costs laid out by quarter, totaled up by year. So this is kind of more traditional, like you might get out of an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. And if you say wanted to get it out to Excel, you absolutely can. I could export this out to Excel or CSV and get that raw data and then distribute it to whoever I might want. So you're not locked into just having this data in Power BI. In fact, there's a lot of ways you can do this. I could print it out, I could publish it to the web, just give someone a link. I can export this to PowerPoint, which is really cool. So if I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation every couple of weeks on where our financials at, or every month or whatever it might be, I don't have to keep rebuilding that every time. I can just set it up once and then hit refresh. It'll pull in the latest data, and my reports, you know, my PowerPoint presentation is ready to go with all the latest data. So there's lots of cool ways you can distribute this. I could even get it by email. And there's a mobile app, so you can view all these right through your mobile devices, phones, tablets, etc. If I wanted to see those costs broken out by project, I can do the same report that I just saw earlier, just broken out by project instead of totaled up by program or portfolio or whatever I might want. And we can do the same thing here, but this one is showing me my budgets versus my actual costs by quarter for each project, and then totaled up for each year. So we can start to do some comparisons there. One really cool feature built into Project Online is the predictive analytics feature. And what that allows me to do is actually predict things or project out into the future based off of real data. So as my actual costs are occurring over time, this is all real costs up until this point. From here on, those are all projections that Power BI is actually generating for me based off of the real data. And this is just demo data, but if I had a lot more better data in here, this starts to actually get jagged, and you can see cyclical trends and so on and so forth. And you set your confidence interval, and what this is saying here, I set my confidence interval to 95%. So it's saying I'm 95% sure that the actual costs are going to fall somewhere within this gray area, high at the top, low at the bottom, middle is probably the average. Notice as we get further out, that gray area gets bigger because we're less and less able to say, you know, ascertain how close we're going to be as we get further out into the future. And so you can play around with that and use that to actually do some predictions and understand where you're going to be going based off of trends in the past. So kind of cool ways that you can do that. So that's one of the financials reports. I'll just pop in and show one other thing here real quick, and that's some of our trending financial reports. I can come in and not just see what currently is happening today, but I can see how things have changed over time. So for example, in January, budgets were sitting at around $6.5 million, 66564, and then it looks like in April those budgets went up, and so we can see that that changed. We raised our budgets at that particular period of time. In line with that, our forecasts went up and our cost variances went down. That's good that cost variance went down, meaning the amount that we're, you know, overspending. But maybe the only reason that happened is because we raised our budgets and our forecasts. So you can start to get a little bit better information into that. If you're doing things like earned value, then you can actually see like your CPI here and how that's changed over time. And there's one more tab I'll show you here from an earned value perspective. This is comparing my cost performance to my schedule performance, and each one of these little bubbles here is a different project. And I can hit my play button and see how that changes over time. And what I want is all of these little bubbles to move towards the green area over there. That's telling me if I'm getting better or worse from an earned value perspective, if you're tracking those types of things. So hopefully you can see how there's lots of different ways that we can track all of this information within Project Online, depending on what level of detail you're looking for, what your requirements are. And in the end, we can roll that all into these different reports, as well as integrate with other financial systems as necessary to really get a total picture of what's going on from a financial perspective for all of your different projects, programs, portfolios, and such. Really gives you that total visualization of what's going in. Real quick, last thing I'm going to show in here in Power BI, if I jump in and go to one of my dashboards, let's say there's a new report that I want to generate, and I'm not the most technical person in the world. Let's say I'm more of a business user, and I want to go in and create a new financial report because someone's asking me for it, or I'm just interested in general. If it's a fairly basic report, there is a cool feature in here called natural language query. Really all that means is I can come in, and as long as I already have access to the data, but the report just doesn't exist that I want, I can come in and ask a question like, I want to show, let's do project cost. Notice as I'm doing this, it kind of helps me out, and it's going to give me some, some samples of what I might want to do and kind of help me out if I don't quite know the names of things and stuff. But let's say I want to show project costs, and it found a report that already exists, but that's not what I want. I want to show project costs by project name. So it's searching and finding all kinds of things here. Oops, I accidentally hit enter, sorry. Show project costs. Let's do by, hold on. Oh, I keep hitting that, sorry. Show, I'm not going to do it this time, costs. And I'm going to do it by project. By project name. Why can't I type today? Sorry about that. I hit my backspace again and it went back. Sorry. Well, I'm going to stop trying to do that. But basically, you can type in different things. My computer's acting up for me today. And you can find that different data and actually show it in a report and get that. And look at things in different ways. The one I was actually going to generate looked very basic to this, and then from there you can change that, and you can go, actually I want it to be a pie chart, and change it to pie, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of a cool way to come in and be able to update that. So right now it's a bar chart. Let's do it as a pie chart. Cool stuff like that. Cool. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Jim for a few final slides, and then we'll let you guys go for the day.
All right, terrific. Thank you, Matthew. And you guys see my slides okay?
Yes.
Terrific. All right, let's go into a little bit of summary and wrap up. And thank you for that great demonstration, Matthew. So just an overview on the value of Project Financial Planner. You saw a lot of different dimensions of that from Matthew's demonstration, but hopefully what you see is the potential to reduce your reliance on disconnected spreadsheets or manual processes that are off to the side from your project management solution or tools. Also, just the ability to improve overall cost management of initiatives and projects by other detailed cost categories within that process. Also give us the ability to accurately measure project financials, budgets, and return on investment, and stay on track with key performance metrics in process measurements as we go on through executing on our projects. Also be able to provide just visibility into a centralized organization-wide view of all the financials in a project and portfolio world. Also, just by integrating project planning with financial planning and forecasting, better helps us meet our project objectives and come in on targets, and better meet stakeholder objectives, especially when it comes to the cost dimension. And then we talked about the possibility of integrating, especially on the actual side of things, with existing financial applications to potentially provide more real-time data so we don't have to manually transcribe data off to the side in order to get the information that we need. Just a reminder, Wicresoft is a global company that can support you. We have a footprint with people in a variety of different locations, so we can support you very well, and in the areas of consulting and business process outsourcing, managed services, and just overall staffing. Our triple gold certification is really kind of an elite status at Microsoft, and those gold certifications are in both project and portfolio management, collaboration and content, and general cloud productivity. So we can definitely help you get to that next level with our expertise. And I will say, we did show you how Project Financial Planner can extend Project Online in this area of Project Online in the Office 365 family. But this same type of capability can be added, and we have expertise in also doing these things in Dynamics with things like professional services automation, which helps manage projects for professional services organizations, or in the more software development and technology world in Visual Studio, and adding that to the scale or agile management world that people are in. And also just generally in SharePoint, those capabilities can be added to SharePoint-based project management if you're looking at doing something lighter weight. And the idea is these financial management concepts and these tools can be deployed in all these different arenas, all tied with the Power BI capabilities and outputs that you saw here today. And even the Project Connect, there can actually be integration and byplay between these different platforms to make it all very seamless. With that, potential next steps. If you like what you saw here today, we're happy to consult with you on some more detailed discovery and do some assessment on what it might take to get these capabilities into your organization and provide you a roadmap of what that is. We're happy to do that all on a pre-sales basis. We're happy to entertain with you if you're interested in chaperoning you through a Project Online trial process with Wicresoft support ongoing throughout that trial. And if you want a deeper dive in this, we're happy to schedule a one-on-one demonstration that's more particular to the needs and requirements of your organization. I put a whole billboard of contacts up here, but you can either email Wicresoft directly at nasales@wicresoft.com. That's North American Sales, NA Sales. You can email me, Jim Patterson, directly, or Matthew Willey. Mike Otranto, though, he will be reaching out to you all, and you'll be getting from him a copy of the slide deck and a link to the recording of this webinar. So Mike will be definitely a primary for you as a next step as well. And then for further information, we have a number of different areas where you can go. us.wicresoft.com is really our general Wicresoft website for all the offerings that you might look at. We have some specific content about Project Online at project-online.com. And then if you want a little more information about Project Connect and the integration strategy, it's us.wicresoft.com/Project Connect. And if you like these webinars, we have a whole slew of on-demand and upcoming webinars that are available to you at us.wicresoft.com/webinars. And if we kind of go into here, upcoming ones after today, we've got increased business value with an integrated IT PPM and IT service management solution, with integration with things such as ServiceNow. Enterprise Program and Portfolio Management in Project Online is coming up on August 24th. And then Kickstart Your Digital PMO with Project Online. And as you can see, there's a whole slew of on-demand webinars that you can get to here as well and watch at your leisure. So with that, I just would like to thank you all for participating in the webinar today. I really appreciate you dedicating your valuable time to us on this. And please let us know if we can help you moving forward, because we're doing this successfully with a lot of people and making great inroads and deriving great benefits for our customers. All right, have a great day, everybody.